Our last couple of videos have just been setting the scene for living well, giving us a structure to frame all that we'll be exploring over the coming weeks. But now we want to begin to explore coping strategies to help us manage stress and ways that we can improve our physical well-being. No matter how diligent we are at working on our well-being and increasing our capacity in our resilience tank, there may still be times when we feel overwhelmed by the stresses that we are facing. So before we dive into looking at our physical well-being, it's worth looking at some techniques to help us with managing stress. A quick Google search on what can I do if I feel stressed will throw up loads of answers, and I'm sure that each of you will have things that work for you. I'll share a few that work for me, but to quote from Life of Brian, we're all individuals, and what helps me may not work for you as well as much. However, that's where the group chat on Facebook comes in. Please take the time to share ideas for how you manage stress, because something that you share may help others. Or if you can't do that, write ideas in the workbook and come and share them at one of the group meetings. A few things that I found that help when I feel stressed are, well, firstly, breathing exercises. And there are many different versions of this, but I like the 4-7-8 model. If possible, close your eyes, don't do that if you're driving, and then focus on your breath. And as you breathe in through your nose for the count of 4, hold it for the count of 7, and breathe out through your mouth for the count of 8. And just keep doing that as you relax and let the stress go. If you couple that with muscle relaxation techniques, it can be very helpful. There's a link in the comments below for an NHS Scotland SoundCloud resource that helps with breathing and relaxation techniques. Second thing I do, apart from breathing, get out for a walk and do some exercise, something like that, walking the dogs or just getting out in nature. Fresh air and exercise tend to clear my head and help to get things in perspective. 3, playing games with friends. I love games and find an evening of laughter with card or board games a great way to relax and unwind. And fourthly, pray. But I would say that, wouldn't I? But when I say pray, I don't mean coming to God with a wish list. When I'm feeling stressed, it's more like I pause, I'm still, and then bring my burdens to God. And similar to the breathing exercises, but what I do is as I breathe out, I imagine giving God my stresses unconcerned. And as I breathe in, I receive the peace that God gives me. But as I say, we're all different. Please do take time to share anything you've heard of or anything in particular that works for you in the online chat or at the group meeting. So let's look at improving our well-being, and perhaps the simplest of all the dimensions to improve is our physical well-being. The definition in the workbook says that physical well-being involves our lifestyle choices or behaviours, things around sleep, diet, exercise, hygiene and relaxation, and sometimes it involves things beyond our control, like having enough food to eat, suitable clothing, shelter, warmth, that sort of thing. And when I say that physical well-being is the simplest, it's because generally we all know the sort of stuff we need to do if we're going to improve our physical well-being. But that doesn't mean we do it. I know I feel so much better when I'm about 2 stone lighter than I am at the moment, but that doesn't mean that I'm always focused on eating healthily. I'm not going to go through all the things that work for me, but I will share with you one that I do that helps me with sleep. I find that I function better and get far less stressed if I'm able to get a good night's sleep. However, I'm of an age where I need to get up to go to the loo in the middle of the night. I'm usually tired enough to go to sleep fairly quickly when I go to bed, but then about 3 to 4 hours later I wake up and I need the loo. And when I come back to bed, the edge has been taken off my tiredness, and sometimes the stresses of work or other things start playing through my mind, and it's hard to get back to sleep. In those cases, I sometimes try using breathing techniques, but what I find works best for me is to use a Bluetooth headphone headband. I put this on, link it into my phone, and I listen to an audiobook. It's not necessarily the best fashion statement, but actually at night I can adjust the volume, not disturb my wife, and actually find as I listen to a book that's interesting enough to keep my attention, but not that interesting that I'm going to stay awake listening to it forever. I'll tend to gradually fall asleep within about 10 to 20 minutes. My favourite at the moment is an audio book by Bill Bryson called A Short History of Nearly Everything, but that appeals to the engineer and scientist in me, so it may not be the book for you. I'll take this off. And I usually find after a short time of listening, I will fall asleep, but there's lots of good audio resources that you could use the similar device for. When it comes to the other aspects of physical well-being, with healthy eating, drinking more water, doing regular exercise, I find I need goals and I need people to hold me accountable to the things I say I'll do. Take some time to think about what works for you in each of those areas and write them in your workbook, and please share them in the online chat as well. And if there are things beyond our control that are affecting your physical well-being, then please seek help to deal with it. Sometimes the stresses we're facing seem so big that we need counselling support. You don't need to do this on your own. If you are feeling like this, please get in touch with me. I'm not a trained counsellor, but I get a lot of practice at listening, and I can signpost you to some amazing people who will be able to help. Likewise, if your physical well-being is suffering because of issues to do with the current economic turmoil, please get in touch. We have all sorts of practical ways that we can offer support, from food parcels to fuel vouchers. All of us at times in our life have faced crises where we needed help, and if you find yourself in that place at the moment, please do get in touch. All these ways of improving our physical well-being are great in theory, but they all take time, and we're all busy. So how do we find the time to do it all? Well, we'll look at that tomorrow. I hope you can join us.